I'm Sweet.
I'm Sour, and we're looking at the all-new 2019 Jetta.
Well, Zach, do you know what the #1 selling Volkswagen in Canada is?
Of all time?
Of all time?
Beetle.
Nope.
Golf.
Nope.
I'm guessing we're standing next to it. That was kind of an obvious one. So how many have they sold? It's a big number.
600,000 units.
Yeah, and you know what? It makes sense because through the decades, since it came out, sedans were very, very popular. And they're making a big point with this car. They say, yeah, 75% of the market are buying utility vehicles, but that still leaves 25% to buy a sedan. And that's what they're hoping.
Well, let's talk about this new design here. First of all, look at it. What do you think?
Well, first of all, the Jetta was the biggest car in the compact class. It's almost like a mid-size car. And now it's just that little bit bigger in every dimension. Not much bigger, but just a little bit bigger. And the design language is edgy now, right?
It's edgy. It's got that angular grille that you'd find in the Tiguan and the Atlas and all their new products now.
And you get these creases on the hood. They say it's all for aero, and I'm sure it is. But we're seeing this not just in the Volkswagen family, but also Audi is doing this sort of crease look as well. And what's the big trend with sedans? They don't want them to look like sedans. They want them to look like coupes. Yeah, so that's got the sloping roof, but that's why they made it a little bit bigger. So even though it's slipperier looking, it still offers the same space.
3 trim lines available, but a lot of standard features, including standard LED headlights.
You get standard LED daytime running lights. You also get standard LED tail lamps, and they're either reflector LEDs or projectors. The higher end ones get the projector ones. Now the wheels as well. This drives me crazy. You buy a car, you get the cheap steel wheels and hubcaps. They're gone, right?
Standard 16-inch alloys or optional 17-inch.
Also optional is the R-Line. Now, one criticism I had of this when I saw this car at the Detroit Auto Show when it was shown there, it seemed like the wheel gap was a little bit high, and you can, get around that by getting the R-Line, which drops it by how much?
15 millimeters. But you get a lot more with the R-Line as well. You get an aero package and some interior goodies as well.
So, and you get the cross differential with that as well, but it's a $1,700 package. And I think for people who want the sportier version, that's not that much more.
You know what surprises me over the years? This is considered a compact car. The Jetta has always been in the compact class. But there's nothing compact about this vehicle.
And it never was. And the last generation was bigger. And the trunk is huge. That's the whole thing.
Massive, massive. Now there's something you don't like about the trunk though.
Yeah, the big exposed metal hinges, it's just not as tidy as, the clean ones that they can put in a modern car. They have to save money somewhere. I understand that. But at least you're getting a massive trunk. Now,
the reason why there's a massive trunk as well is, talk about the rear suspension. We'll talk about it when we're driving, but this does not have independent rear suspension. The advantage though, more room.
What I don't understand is when the last generation Volkswagen Jetta came out, there were a whole bunch of critics said, well, it doesn't have independent rear suspension. And then they put it in, and now they come up with a new car and they get rid of it. It just seems funny, but it is remarkably good on road. I'm not just saying that because we're here with Volkswagen. It actually delivers. So why don't we go for a drive?
All right, who's driving first? I lose every freaking time. It's like,
every time.
Every time.
Okay, Sweet. What's under the hood of this car is a 1.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Now you might think to yourself, this is a big car, turbo 4, 1.4. It actually has a lot of grunt. That's the thing about it. What's more important, horsepower or torque?
Torque. Now this engine is carried over from the previous generation.
Yeah, so you get 147 horsepower, but you get 184 pound-feet of torque. And the biggest improvement for me is the transmission.
Unlike its competition, it uses a conventional automatic or a manual transmission.
Yeah, they actually told us today 20% of Jetta owners buy the manual, so they're continuing that in every trim line. It goes from a 5-speed, it's now a 6-speed, and now it's gone from a 6-speed Tiptronic to an 8-speed unit. Now you think about that. It's got 8 gears, so it's always keeping that 1.4 liter turbo with that great torque always in the meaty part of the torque range.
Yeah, those 20%, those are probably the hashtag save the manual people.
Exactly. The other thing is they went to the MQB platform, which is used for what?
The Golf, the Tiguan, pretty well everything is going to be on the MQB other than the new electric vehicles coming out.
Yeah, and the thing is, with those other vehicles, they have independent rear suspension. So when they brought this Jetta out, you're like, why have they gone back to a torsion beam? Now, you mentioned it already, it's for packaging, right?
Packaging, you get more room,
It's less expensive.
it's lighter, and you know what, honestly, like they've tuned it very well. They've, you know, of course they do a lot of research, and to get the package right, I don't think a lot of people will really notice the difference.
Well, driving here today, I can't believe how refined the ride is. You know, what's my saying? I always talk about Volkswagen. I call it Audi
Light.
Audi Light, and it's Audi Light, and it must be the shock absorbers they use and the tuning of the suspension for this, because it's actually really refined over bumpy conditions. Typically with a torsion beam axle that hops over bumps, and you don't get that at all with this car.
No, it's got a very, very refined ride.
And quiet.
And it's, you know what, it's more aerodynamic. Even though it's bigger, it's more aerodynamic. They have active grille shutters now. It's you know, they really streamlined everything about the exterior of this car.
So even though you lost the rock, paper, scissors, I'll let you drive.
All right, let's go.
I got to tell you, I can clearly remember the car company that was the most aggressive with heated seats was Volkswagen back in the day, and they were able to do that because they put heated seats with cloth seats, and so the base model still gets heated cloth seats all those years later.
And well, of course, we have heated seats in here as an option that's going to come later, though. It's, you can get heated rear seats and a heated steering wheel as well.
They say late entry, so probably towards the end of 2018. And you know what? I like the pleather. Like this one has pleather, and then you can get leather on the exec line. I would almost get this because these seats hold up.
I got no problem with it whatsoever. For a compact vehicle, it has a very premium feeling interior, a lot of soft touch materials. Available now, the digital cockpit.
Oh yeah, that's right. You get a 10-inch digital cockpit, and also the base unit on the base model is 6.5 inches, standard Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, backup camera, but on everything else you get an 8-inch unit, and it has a glass panel on top of it that makes it much more integrated looking into the car.
Now they're trying to also attract more of a youthful presence by going, for the first time, Beats Audio, Dr. Dre.
You know what? I have mixed feelings about this because I know Beats is a good name, right? A lot of young people recognize it, but I love the Fender stereo that they have in the other cars. Like that's one of the highlights for me, is that their stereos are so good.
Well, the good news is, for now, the Fender is still available on things like the Tiguan and the Atlas.
Right.
So it's for the younger buyer.
I guess we're out.
Hip hop, hop, hip, I don't know.
Hip hop, hip, hip hop.
Hip hop, 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 hip.
Yeah, now we sound really old.
Yeah, that's my rap.
All right, so size, as we mentioned on the outside, this is a bigger vehicle, so you benefit from that on the inside. The other thing is you get an available big pano roof, which some people will like. Now, one of the big drivers for new car purchases is the advanced safety features. People kind of demanding them now. And yes, it's available on the middle and high trim, but it's a package that's almost $1,000.
Yeah, so you can get like the blind spot warning system, the
Forward
radar,
collision and all that.
and even rear cross traffic alert with braking as well is available.
Now, it's only a matter of time before that's all going to have to be standard if you're going to sell cars.
Well, the competitors are including it, like Toyota.
Right, so I think that's something that Volkswagen will address as we go along. But right now, even on the most expensive model, if you want that, it's basically $1,000 more.
On the higher trim level, you can get this ambient lighting option, where you can change 10 different colors, and that's a big, that's a big thing. That's something you'd find in like a real premium luxury car.
I think that's gimmicky. Are you really going to change it? You're going to set it once and forget it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think you could probably program it for a different key.
Well, also your drive modes. If you change your drive modes, it'll change the color of the ambient light. So if you go to sport mode, guess what color it goes to?
It goes red.
It does. It does.
You know, I got to have it now. Not. So Sweet, I came here not knowing what to expect because this car doesn't have independent rear suspension, but I'm here to tell you I'm pleasantly surprised. And I'm not saying that because we're here as a guest of Volkswagen. It's the real deal. It drives really well.
You know what? I love all the standard features. This is a lot of car for the money. Now, there's no more base model anymore, and that's just being realistic. No one ever bought the base model. It was more of a marketing thing, really, like we've got the lowest price.
Yeah, so it basically starts around $21,000, but you get the LED headlamps, you get the alloy wheels, you get the nicer looking interior, bigger car, all of that. So the trend is to rush out and get a utility vehicle, but there's still a segment of people who want a car.
Cars just handle so much better, and this has so much room in it. Really, do you really need a SUV?
So Volkswagen is determined to provide value for consumers. So you get a lot of content at a good price, but it's German, yeah?
And if you do insist on getting SUV, well,
I'll say one of those
they
too.
can help you out there.
All right, that's it for another edition of Sweet and Sour.